Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm the managing editor of APC Media's publications, Transformer Technology, Power Systems Technology, and Women in Power Systems. We're here at the IEEE PEST&D conference in Anaheim in 2024, the 60th anniversary. These interviews are with thought leaders to be able to bring the best of the marketplace to you. My next guest is Giuseppe Petrelli, right?
Yes, nice to meet you.
And you are the head of transformers for Hitachi, formerly ABB, part of that?
Marketing and sales. I'm the global head of marketing and sales for transformers, yes.
Global head?
Yes.
Okay, so you're sold out. You don't have to sell anymore.
I'm not sold out.
Okay.
We are very eager to actually continue to sell, but we can talk about that.
We'll talk about that. First, I want to talk, how did you get in the industry in the first place?
Okay, I'm an industrial engineer. And 20 years ago, roughly, I was working in another industry. I was selected by ABB at the time.
Okay.
And then I started my career in a power transformer factory in Spain. And
Cordoba?
No, it's Cordoba, Spain. Yes, it's where we have a factory.
Okay.
And as many of us, we grew in the technical background, how to manufacture transformer, how to design transformer is very important when it comes to understand customer needs. And then from that place all over, I developed my career, which has been now for more than 12 years at the global level. So
okay.
I travel a lot and I visit customers all over the place. I stay close to the team, to the front end, but I also look after the factories, because in the end, like everything, it's a balance between demand and supply.
Right.
And I'm just in the middle.
Right.
So a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, given the fact that right now demand is skyrocketing, right, for every level of transformer, that creates problems for the manufacturing side.
Yeah.
Supply chain problems still there, labor problems, getting enough good labor to be able to build it. You have multiple factories all over the world.
Yes.
So how is the company dealing with those?
Yeah, that's a great question, because in the end, as you said, we are in an industry that has been not growing so much during the last decades.
Yeah.
It was very flattish.
Right.
Then after the COVID and the inflation, we experienced this surge of demand, and not just from utility. Today we are in a beautiful event here at IEEE full of utility companies, but the reality is that the market grew in all the sectors.
Right.
The fast-growing segment, even like data centers, which is very important here in the US, the renewables, the transportation, the electrical vehicles, the storage. So all sector, all of a sudden, they experience this extremely high need for electrical products, and of course transformers. So here in transformers, not only in Hitachi Energy as a company, but particularly in transformers that I'm speaking of today, we are seeing this, and we have addressed this, I think, up front very early, because we started to invest a lot in factories. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, this is public, the company made an announcement of $1.5 billion of improvement of our footprint, our factories, to address the needs of the customers. And probably this is not all that we need. We need more, because as you know, energy transition, and again, the tagline of the event here, it's very spot on, because we are all working in order to try to accelerate the energy transition. And also from a value chain perspective, from suppliers like us, we have that obligation to actually work in order to accelerate the energy transition. How? By investing.
Okay.
So this announcement that went out 2 weeks ago, 1.5 billion by 2027, we're going to have across the world, from Europe to Americas to Asia, a lot of enhancement in our factories in order to improve the assets, in order to improve, optimize also the space, the layout, the new machineries, and so on. And that's one of the challenge that we addressed, I think, in the right way. And more investment for sure will come. By the way, talking about North America, not just US, last week we also announced $100 million investment here in the factory in Canada, in Varennes, Montreal, where we are going to have an optimized factory and optimized testing lab to serve also the market and even the interconnection between and within North America. One of them has been Sanzia, I'm sure you're aware of, with a great interconnection, high voltage direct current interconnection, New Mexico, Arizona, one of the largest in the world when it comes to renewables, by the way.
Yeah.
So that piece is covered from CapEx or investment point of view. To your point, the second issue or the second concern is people. And there we all know that we are living in a period where there is clearly a talent war. For us as a manufacturers of transformers, it's about skilled professionals, it's about blue collar, but it's also about white collars. So the ability to hire those people, to retain their talents will be crucial in order to actually accelerate the energy transition, because it's not just manufacturing capabilities, it's about people, resources, and manpower in order to develop new solutions with customers.
So how are you doing it?
I think we are doing, from a people point of view, we are also spending a lot of efforts and time to try to attract people, to try to have the right access to the networks. For instance, university, for instance, we have appointed in most of our factories globally a role which is a community relationship manager that has the obligation to look into the community all the time and strengthen the networks with important colleges, universities, even high schools. Because as I said, the earlier we start, the better it's going to be. And then we do a lot of brand ambassador when it comes to try to amplify the message that this is right now the right industry to work for.
Yeah.
Probably has not been so attractive in the past, also particularly in this country when it comes to the huge development of IT and here in Silicon Valley. But right now, I believe that our industry is top ranked because of also the purpose.
That's it.
I think it's profoundly rooted in what we do, because we try to provide customer with solution that will help the mankind.
Yeah.
And in fact, Hitachi Group is very much eager to stress the social business point when it comes to developing such a solution. So we have a purpose to offer, not just a job that is relevant for the future. I think that's the distinction part, or the fundamental difference between the rest of the industries. We are not maybe so sexy as other industries, but once you are in, you realize how powerful it could be to have a purpose.
Yeah, and we have, I mean, the electrification, decarbonization, all of those Ds that we do, right? That's a very big deal. The next generation, particularly of engineers, want to do something meaningful there.
Yes.
So I assume as a brand ambassador, as you call it, you're trying to connect with that next generation of engineer.
Correct.
Talk to me a little bit about that, because they are unique.
Yeah, well, I have a simple story to tell. First of all, as a company, as I said, we are very much engaged with the university, regardless of being a global company. Then we are local. So, for instance, myself, but other colleagues, we are engaged with the local university, local colleges in all countries. We try to promote our brand. We give speeches, we give lectures. We try to stress again the importance of being part of an industry that is trying to provide solution against climate change, providing renewables, reducing CO2 emission, and so on. And that's a nice thing to have. I used to say and share a story that I shared when in our factory in Cordoba we had an open day. So families came in, they were invited. All the employees could bring families and kids, and then we have a session with the kids. And of course my son was there too. And then he said, "Oh, finally I understand what you do that."
How old was he at that?
He's 14.
Okay.
But he still was not capable of understanding exactly what a transformer is, apart from the toys.
Yeah.
And then he said, "You keep lights on."
Oh, that's it. That's that simple, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I go home, I switch on. I know that there is electricity, and you want to provide more electrification to the world. That's as simple as that. I said, "Yes, you light up the world." Yes, we are. And that's the purpose I was referring to, that I think it's important not just for the, like you said, engineering students, but also the next generation that has not yet made out their mind when it comes to what I'm gonna do next.
Yeah.
Some people, they are still reluctant to take a decision when they are young, and they don't know where to go. And right now the world needs this kind of industry to actually flourish.
Right.
And that's why I said there is a strong purpose, I believe, in what we do.
Do you see the demand curve long term? I mean, you all must do statistical analysis looking at it. How long? Because remember back in the 70s when something stopped and people started to divest of facilities in the United States, all over the world.
Yes.
now we're all excited. Everybody is looking to expand.
Yes.
We can't, nobody, I mean, it seems like the industry as a whole, manufacturing as a whole, can't keep up with demand.
Yes.
You mentioned data centers in the United States particularly. The anticipation is that we will be year on year for the next decade, 13% less supply than the demand just for data centers. Talk a little bit about the investment that you're making in the data center growth of the market for transformers.
Yeah, that's also a very, very important point. As I said before, we were used to having utility as a main customers, at least at the time of ABB. And then recently we had all these fast-growing industries. Data center is probably the most visible,
right?
Particularly here in the US. What we do, what we try to do at least, is to create strategic partnership. So if we sit at the table at the right time, we can plan together. There are a couple of things that we always repeat in Hitachi Energy. One is common planning. The other one is co-creation. By that I mean that if we can share the planning together, we can allocate capacity upfront.
Right.
So if we know that certain players in data centers, they have a huge need for transformer, and even much more now because of artificial intelligence kicking in.
Right.
Because artificial intelligence is something that will disrupt from a power needs point of view the industry. So on top of the growth, there will be this exponential growth because of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Then we need to sit at the table much earlier in the process, plan together which are the kind of transformer you need for when the delivery time of this transformer. Can we standardize the solution so that we can shorten a bit the time here? And that's the co-creation piece.
Yeah.
So when we put together planning and co-creation, we normally can address that. And here in the US, we have a beautiful case of relationship with players where both things happen at the right time. And we are confident we can continue to support them.
So when you do because the word that comes to me is collaboration. So when you work with clients on both of those levels, you're really collaborating with them. You're bringing them into that.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears because I'm going to talk about this organization, because IEEE is like the glue for collaboration. Seagray too, they're the two organizations that are very collaborative in what they do. Tell me a little bit about your history with IEEE.
It's a very nice opportunity to be here again. I was not here 2 years ago, but prior to COVID, I've been always here. Seagray same. We've been together with many partners in Seagray on a regular basis. This summer again in Paris. First of all, it's a technical collaboration. We speak the same language. We have the ambition as a partners to support our customers at the very early stage. Means when we define something. That's why I use the co-creation, when we define a specification. So for me, these are perfect situations where we can lay down on the table ideas, we generate ideas, and then we sit in technical workshop to go deeper with them. And co-creation, why? Because we also co-write papers.
Yeah.
So to the point of Seagray, we have a huge history as Hitachi, but also as ABB, of white paper and technical paper co-written with our customer. These things happens here normally, right? In this discussion, in this dialogue. So that's why I'm very eager to be here and to try to plant seeds.
Yeah.
And also to get some new inputs when it comes to new solution. Because even if the physics is the physics and you can't change it, transformers can add different features.
Right.
And new products will be needed because of the needs of the different industries. We were talking about artificial intelligence before in data center. We have developed, for instance, the transient voltage protection for data centers customers, and that has been the result of co-creation being carried out early in advance in the process in dialogue like this.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm a strongly believer and a huge fan of IEEE and Seagray, and I think as a partners with our customer, we need to continue to be around these tables.
You mentioned white papers, so I think we've published some white papers. I want to continue to publish white papers because that's the best way to share with the rest of the industry, especially your customers are our readers,
yes.
Utilities yes. and industrial and data centers, and they're the ones that are looking for what's next,
yes.
right? And the unique advantage that you have is be able to share with them what's next.
Yes.
That's what the white papers do. So
Exactly.
I want more white papers.
Okay, that's.
So I'll email.
I take a note. I take a mental note about that.
Okay, make a mental note. I'll email you. You don't have to make a mental note. I'll email you. What are the challenges? Because we talked about the opportunities. It's great where everybody's working together to rebuild the grid everywhere. It's not just here. We have to build it here because we have a very old grid, poorly designed as a grid. But what are the challenges as a manufacturer that you see you're going to face in that process of rebuilding a global grid?
Yes, and that's a fundamental question. I always say, there are things we cannot control, okay? And in this environment, of course, the regulating frameworks, the government, the politics can be somehow a problem when it comes to the acceleration that we need, because you need a lot of dialogue. For instance, topics like digitalization because of cybersecurity or sustainability. If you have a regulating framework that allows you to actually boost that, then it's completely different from having a framework that is against that, right?
Right.
So but we can influence that. As a leader in technology, we have the obligation to do that, but we cannot control 100%. What we should control 100% is the dialogue with customers, with our partners, and across the value chain. Not just with end users, not just with utility, not just with data centers, but actually with the complete value chain of our sub-suppliers, to make sure that we all step up, that we all understand that the acceleration of the transition, of the energy transition, is going to be about the speed and the scale.
Yeah.
And these two things are very relevant when it comes to everybody, not just the manufacturer of transformers.
Speed and scale.
Yes.
I like that. That's good. Yeah, good way of looking at it.
Yes.
I'm a co-chair of an organization called Safety and Reliability Association. It's primarily industrial, and it's primarily safety and reliability. Because a lot of our members are running large manufacturing facilities, steel, paper, metal, refineries, they seem to have been left out of the pre-planning. So now they're all seeing end of life of their transformers, but they didn't get with you. They didn't do a lot of collaboration, and they're not as buyers like utilities. Utilities are going to buy a lot more of them. What would you advise them that are, there's a steel company in the United States that's got 32 plants in the United States. They are burning through transformers as fast as they can. They can't get new ones.
Yeah.
What would you say to one of them?
Well,
call you? Is that what they're using?
No, well, that's always an option, of course. But I know what you mean, because we are living this every day.
Yeah.
So while utility with the planning, they are historically mentally prepared to that, other players, let me put it like that, they did not see this coming.
Correct.
And they are still having a mindset that is based on transactional approach. So whenever I need a product, I call you. I call Giuseppe. No, unfortunately, even if you call me, most likely we are not going to get the solution. Why? Because of the huge demand and the importance of planning together, as I said before. So we are very much insisting, even with industrial players, in the planning and in the strategic relationship. So tell me when you think you will need that product, by when and which category. The more granular is going to be the request, the demand, and the more precise and accurate from a time perspective, the better it's going to be for the relationship and for the deliveries, of course, of the transformer. So I think industrial space and understanding the constraints that they have is not easy right now because of this huge demand across, and particularly because of this fast-growing segment that we mentioned before, that tend to monopolize the attention of the value chains, since they are having a very fast and fresh state of mind when it comes to planning. They understand exactly where the issues and the obstacles are, and they are being very much proactive. So I would say it's a difference between being proactive and reactive, or in other words, willing to establish strategic relationship as opposed to transactional, opportunistic. My advice would be, let's try to work on more on strategic and less on opportunistic.
Get the purchasers out of the way and get procurement more involved.
Yes, in a way, but I think
can say that, and you can agree, and that way you don't make them mad.
I think it's about the mentality that we need to develop as stakeholders.
Yeah.
So in the logic of partnership, I think we all have a say and we should all have the same mentality to address that.
Last question. You're the global head of this. Do you see differences globally between different regions of the world, and what are they?
Well, as I said at the beginning, there are few paradigms that always applies, and the supply-demand is always applicable. So there are two regions in the world right now where the energy transition is really about acceleration, and this one in Europe. And this is actually where we had a lot of success when it comes to establishing strategic relationship. With the other region is different, not because of not having strategic relationship with customers, but rather because of external environment, competitive landscape, and again, the overcapacity that you might have in Asia or in China is completely different from the needs and the landscape that we have here. Said that, it's also important to stress that particularly for high voltage and high power rate transformers, also this region of the world has some scarcity. So again, it's the same applies. The earlier we engage with those customers, the better it's going to be from a capacity discussion point of view. But definitely Europe and North America stands out when it comes to the willingness and to the acceleration that they want to put on the energy transition.
Excellent. Giuseppe, thank you so much.
What a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.